Hello to all our beloved viewers, wishing everyone a peaceful day filled with good energy. Today, we arrive at a very special milestone in the story of Truong and tieuunu, a moment that can make anyone's heart tighten. In just a few more days, Dewey will turn 5, a well-behaved little boy who asks his mother every night, "Mom, when will Dad Truong come home to me?" Every time she hears that question, tieuunu's heart clenches. She forces a smile for her child, but deep in her eyes lies an ocean of longing. As for Truong, a man wandering in the void of lost memories each day brings small flashes of light, a child's laughter, a birthday cake, a familiar scent, fragments slowly returning, even though he still doesn't know what precious piece of his life he has truly lost. And the biggest question right now is, will Truong find his way back in time? Will he appear on Dewey's 5th birthday to hold his son again and give tieuunu the trust she has been waiting for? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss this emotional journey of reunion. As the first morning sunlight filtered gently through the tall trees at the front gate, a pale golden glow spread across the small countryside village where tieuunu and little Dewey lived. That morning was so peaceful, one could close their eyes and clearly hear the woodpecker tapping against the tree trunk, the breeze brushing over the old tiled roof, and the soft trickling of water from the wooden trough tieuunu had placed beneath the eaves years ago. The whole scene seemed wrapped in a thin, honey-colored veil, making everything strangely warm and tender. Tieuunu bent over the small plot of land in front of the house, her hands skillfully loosening the soft earth. The smell of freshly turned soil rose warmly, blending with the scent of vegetable leaves and the fragrance of dewy morning grass. She worked with the patience and gentleness of someone who had spent her youth tending fields, cooking meals, and holding together a simple but responsible life. Tiny beads of sweat gathered at her temples, clinging to the loose strands of hair brushing her forehead. Each time she looked up at the rows of young sprouts, a quiet joy brightened her eyes. A simple kind of joy only those who truly love this life can feel. Beside her, little Dewey, almost 5, with eyes bright like 2 glass marbles, was happily playing with the old wooden toys his mother had made. He pressed 2 wooden blocks together to form a ship, then stacked stones into a tiny bridge, constantly babbling stories. This ship takes Mom to the sea, and this bridge is for Dad to cross and bring me presents. Every time the word Dad came out, tieuunu's hands stilled for a heartbeat. She didn't look at him right away. She let a few seconds of silence pass before softly replying, "Yes, if Dad sees how clever you are, he'll be so happy." The boy looked up, round cheeks smudged with dirt, smiling as brightly as the sun. "Mom will Dad, Truong come home. My birthday is coming soon." That question came every day, and every day it tightened something inside tieuunu's heart. She looked at her son gently, brushing his soft hair, and forced a tender smile. Just be good, then something special will come to you. Dewey nodded, unaware of the worries hidden behind her words, uncertainty, fear, longing. He ran off again, gathering leaves, picking up stones, his tiny legs never tiring. His footsteps created a little melody that lit up the peaceful morning. Lytieunu continued her work. She planted each seedling, pressed each mound of soil, and poured a little water into each new spot. Every gesture, careful, soft, full of a mother's quiet sacrifice. Life in the countryside flowed gently like that. But inside Lytieunu, the long, sleepless nights, the unspoken questions, the aching memories, had never been calm for even a minute. She missed Truong's eyes. She missed the way he used to stand at the doorway at dusk. She missed how he lifted Dewey up, spun him around, and laughed wholeheartedly. Those memories felt like old paper strips kept in a wooden box. Opening them, hurt hiding them, hurt even more. And today, watching her son play so innocently before her, she silently wondered, where is Truong now? Is he healthy? Has he remembered anything? And does he know that here two people are waiting for him every single day? A soft breeze swept through the garden, making the young rows of vegetables sway. Sunlight caught in Lytieunu's hair like tiny fragments of memory trying to guide her back to a quiet hope. Dewey ran toward her, holding a small pink-purple wildflower. "Mom, this is for you." Lytieunu laughed and pulled him into her arms. "Thank you, my little prince." The two of them sat beneath the big tree in the yard where sunlight dappled the ground. Lytieunu leaned her head against the trunk, while Dewey rested against her shoulder, a warm, peaceful moment where time felt as if it had paused. But behind that peace was a waiting so deep that even Lytieunu didn't know how long her heart could endure. Dewey's birthday was coming, and the question she didn't dare speak aloud was, would Truong appear? Would he find his way home? Would his lost memories finally stop hurting the small heart of their little boy? Only time. And Truong's heart could answer that. That morning, Truong sat alone at the old wooden table in the small room where he was recovering. The early sunlight streamed through the window, casting long golden streaks across the table as if reminding him of something deeply familiar. He placed his hand on the rough wooden surface, and for some reason, his heart skipped painfully. There was something there, like a memory brushing past him, but not yet taking shape. Truong closed his eyes and listened. In that stillness, he heard a child's laughter, not from outside, but from deep within his memory. A bright, ringing laugh, full of life, like someone running circles around him. And then a voice, soft, clear, innocent, kept echoing, "Daddy, Daddy." The voice of a little boy, so familiar it made his nose sting. Truong opened his eyes and exhaled sharply. He looked around the room, searching for the source of that sound. But there was no one. Only the curtain swaying gently in the breeze and the faint smell of medicine. He rubbed his temples. "Daddy, The voice echoed again from some faraway corner of his mind, pulling along blurry images, a tiny hand clutching his, a pair of round, bright eyes like droplets of water, a little boy's face smudged with dirt. Smiling at him, Truong jolted upright. His chest pounded as if someone had shoved him from behind. His heart had clearly recognized something, yet his mind remained lost in fog. He walked to the window, gazing at the narrow dirt road stretching across the fields. The wind carried the scent of soil and young grass, a scent that felt painfully familiar. Then another image flashed, a woman bending over a garden bed, her hair tied back, sweat on her brow, but a gentle warmth in her eyes, the tilt of her head when she smiled. A soft voice saying, "You're home already. I just finished cooking. Come eat while it's still hot." The image stopped him cold. His heart clenched so tightly it hurt. He placed a hand over his chest. Why did thinking about that woman hurt so much? Everything felt like shards of a broken mirror. There was sound. There were images. There were feelings, but nothing fit together into a whole. Truong sat at the edge of the bed, hands twisting together. Who is that woman? Who is the boy calling me dad? Why do I feel like I've lost something incredibly important? Question after question came, but none had an answer. Every time he closed his eyes, their silhouettes became clearer. A while later, old Mr. Bay, the man caring for him, stepped inside. He placed a bowl of warm porridge on the table and looked at Truong with worry. "You don't look well." Head hurting again. Truong stayed silent for a few seconds, then asked in a hoarse voice, "Back by? Did I have a family?" The question made Mr. Ba freeze. His aged eyes trembled slightly. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he placed a hand on Truong's shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze as if offering him strength. There are things that return on their own when the time is right. But even as he spoke, his eyes, despite trying to hide it, held a truth Truong couldn't grasp yet. Truong looked down at his hands. He suddenly remembered the feeling of a small hand gripping tightly onto his finger. He remembered holding someone in his arms, someone slender, fragile, and warm. His heart tightened, not from physical pain, but from the ache of a man unconsciously remembering the ones he loves. He stood up and walked toward the door. "Back ba. I want to go outside for a bit." "Go on. Morning air is good for you. Maybe it'll help you remember more." Truong stepped onto the porch, sunlight washing over his face. The wind brushed through his hair, and in that moment, he heard the little boy's laughter again, clearer than before. And this time, accompanying it, was a woman's voice. "Dewey, come here to mommy." Truong's eyes widened. Dewey! That name struck the deepest part of his heart. He knew then. The day his memories returned was no longer far away. That afternoon, the sky was strangely clear. The last golden light of the day poured over Tieunu's rooftop, like sweet honey making the small yard glow with a warm, gentle radiance. Today was a special day, little Dewey's 5th birthday. In the kitchen, Tieuunu was carefully lighting each small candle on the birthday cake she had saved up for nearly a month to buy. each tiny flame flickered like a trembling little star. She placed the cake on the table, then sat down and looked around the house. Just the two of them, as every year. But today, her heart felt different, not just sad, but quietly fluttering with a strange tension. A mother's intuition, loud enough that her hands trembled while straightening the tablecloth. Dewey ran in, holding the old wooden ship he always called Dad's boat. He looked up with sparkling eyes and asked for the countless time, "Mom, will Dad come home today?" Tieu froze for a moment. But today, instead of avoiding the question, she placed her hand on his head and smiled a soft smile that even surprised herself. "Make a wish, darling. Maybe a miracle will come." Dewey inhaled deeply, clasped his hands together, and squeezed his eyes shut. He whispered, "I wish Dad comes home to hug me." Tieu turned away so he wouldn't see her eyes turning red. Outside, the wind gently shook the cluster of balloons she had tied to the doorway. The small house glowed under strands of old string lights she reused from last year, hoping to create some bit of celebration. Dewey climbed onto his chair, resting his chin on the table, smiling at the candles, but his eyes still flickered with unmistakable longing. "Mom, can I blow the candles yet?" "Just a little longer," Tieu said, her voice trembling. "I think we're still missing something." The room suddenly grew still. Every sound, wind, the lights, the faint scent of cake felt slower. Then suddenly, thud, a sound came from the gate. Tieu turned sharply. Dewey's eyes widened. He jumped off the chair, ran forward, then stopped, afraid to get too close, but hope blazing in his eyes. The wind blew harder, lifting the curtain. Click. The gate latch opened. Footsteps, soft but steady, drew nearer. Tieu's heartbeat pounded so hard, it felt like her chest was locking up. The wooden door of the house trembled and then creaked. The door swung open. Bright light flooded in, surrounding the silhouette of a man standing there. Tall, slightly thin hair, tousled by the wind, eyes deep and tired, as if carrying the weight of a long journey. Tieu's knees weakened. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. And Dewey, he froze for one heartbeat, then cried out, "Daddy!" The pure ringing shout filled the house. Truong stood still, breath caught in his throat. His eyes reddened as he saw the little boy running toward him, tiny arms reaching out, tears streaming, but smiling all the while. And then, in a moment that squeezed the heart of anyone watching, Truong dropped to his knees. He opened his arms wide. Dewey threw himself into his father's embrace, clinging to his neck, as if afraid that letting go would make his father disappear again. Truong buried his face in his son's hair, his voice shaking. "I'm sorry. Daddy's here now." Tieu covered her mouth, tears spilling uncontrollably. She stood frozen, overwhelmed with joy, fear, disbelief, unable to grasp that the moment she dreamed of was finally real. Truong lifted his gaze to her. For the first time, after months of drifting memories, he remembered her. His eyes trembled softly, and from deep within his heart, a single sentence rose, "Tieu. I'm home. No more wind. No more balloon strings tapping together. Only the soft, trembling breaths of three people who had waited far too long to finally hold each other under the same roof again. As the door closed behind them, the little house seemed to exhale a long, full breath after months of silence. The warm glow from the string lights softened the faces of all three, making everything feel tender, like a dream finally becoming real. Dewey still clung tightly around Truong's neck, his little legs wrapped around his waist like a baby monkey, afraid of being separated from the father he had waited for so long. Each of the boys' breaths trembled, half laughing, half crying. "Daddy, is it really you?" Dewey mumbled into his shoulder. Truong hugged his son once more, then gently lifted him down so he could look into that small, precious face. "It's me. It's really me. Daddy is sorry for making you wait so long. My sweet Dewey." Dewey immediately threw his arms around him again, even tighter this time. Tieu stood nearby, her trembling hands gripping her shirt. She didn't dare step in, didn't dare interrupt such a sacred moment. She simply stood there silently brushing away tears she didn't even realize had fallen. Then Truong turned to her, and his eyes, soft, deep, and full of awareness, held something she had waited months to see. "I remember," he whispered. "Or at least the part that matters most." Her lips quivered. You really remember." He nodded. Then he stepped closer. Only an arm's length separated them. "When I heard a child laughing yesterday, my chest hurt. The kind of hurt that tells you you've lost something important. Then I heard someone calling, 'Do you come here to Mommy?' Your voice. It rang in my head even though I couldn't picture your face clearly." Tieu felt her chest tighten every breath, pushing up against her throat. Truong continued, "I walked out to the fields. The evening sun was in my eyes. And when I closed them, I saw you. A woman, planting vegetables, hair tied up, smiling so gently. I couldn't remember your name, but I remembered the feeling of loving you." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I remembered loving you before I even remembered who you were." She covered her mouth, nearly letting out a sob. Truong lifted his hand, brushing her cheek with the lightest touch. "And this morning, I suddenly remembered my son's eyes, the way he ran toward me, that tiny hand holding my finger so tight. I knew then I had to come home." Tieu cried. This time she didn't hide it. Dewey watched them without fully understanding, but sensing something warm, something safe. He squealed, "Don't cry anymore. I want to blow my candles." The air shifted, pulled back into the pure innocence of a child. Truong laughed, a sound Tieu hadn't heard in so long. She hurriedly wiped her tears, walked to the table, fixed the candlesticks, and placed the cake in the center. The three of them sat around the old wooden table. The golden candlelight flickered gently across their faces like tiny pieces of memory slowly falling into place. "All right, Dewey, make your wish," tieu said, her voice still a little hoarse. Dewey looked at her, then at his father, then smiled so widely his eyes turned into 2 crescent moons. "I wish Daddy will never leave again." Truong placed his hand on the boy's head, his voice low and steady, like a vow. "I promise." Dewey shut his eyes and blew with all his might. The candles went out in a burst of laughter from all 3. The small house, empty for so many months, was finally full again. Full of warmth, full of breath, full of family. Truong cut the cake. He placed the first slice in front of tieu. "This one is for you. Thank you for raising our son. Thank you for waiting, even when no one could be sure I would return." Tieu looked up at him, eyes wet, but her smile so warm it softened everything inside him. "I didn't wait because I was sure. I waited because I believed you would find your way back." Truong held her gaze for a long moment. Then, for the first time in so many months, he reached out and took her small hand, gently intertwining his fingers with hers. "I'm home, tieu, and this time, I won't leave again." Dewey jumped with joy, wrapping both of them in his little arms, and in that moment, there was no past, no pain. Only one truth remained. A family had finally reunited. My dear friends, if you followed the story up to this moment, I believe each of your hearts is feeling something very personal. And right now, I truly want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Dewey's 5th birthday? Were you surprised when the door suddenly opened? And how did you feel seeing Truong drop to his knees and hold his son after so many days apart? In your opinion, how long has tieu been waiting? Should she fully open her heart to Truong again? Or should she remain cautious, knowing his memories haven't completely returned? And what about Truong? Do you believe he will keep his promise of never leaving again? Will the path ahead be smooth for him, or will it continue to test their love? Every one of your thoughts will make this story more vivid, emotional, and meaningful. So please leave a comment below. Which moment touched you the most? And what do you hope to see for this little family in the next episodes? I'm looking forward to reading each of your comments.